Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, and the Pip Supply Saucers, the people that bust up, and everybody else in between. The Friday Night Freak Show has begun. We've got a full house on the program this evening. There's a million things to break down. There's a ton of games to break down, and we've got tip-off coming up right now in a couple of minutes as the jockeying Kentucky Derby style continues in the National Basketball Association in the Western Conference. The Pelicans and the Warriors are playing. The Warriors are in the play-in. The Pelicans are trying to stay out of the play-in, so both teams are playing for something in this game tonight. The Warriors have been smoking hot, man. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games outright. They're laying 4 points tonight. I think the total is too light in this game at 223.5 right now, 223.5. These two teams have played twice this year, 141 to 105, 130 to 102. I get it. Stakes are a little bit higher now, but that's a low number. Remember, we talked about it the other night, and Minnesota and Denver, both much better defensive teams than these teams are. And they got to 223 at a low total at 214. So I think this game's going to go over the number at 223. I think the Warriors are going to win on their home court. They'll probably cover the number as well. If they're going to win, they'll probably cover. Is it really going to be a 1 or a 2 point game? But it could be a close game. And the Pelicans are riding a 3-game win streak right now. And the Pelicans can score. So it's another reason why there's going to be points put up on the board. If Golden State doesn't score, they're going to lose this game. So I don't really want to lay the 4.5, but I do like the over in this basketball game. The Sacramento Kings are starting to fall apart right now. It's, Kevin Huerter's not a superstar. Malik Monk's not a superstar, but you start to lose depth. You start to lose bodies, and it starts to catch up to you if you're the Sacramento Kings. And it's caught up to them. And right now they're in a play-in right now suddenly. But they're trying to stay out of that 10, so you only have to win 1 game instead of winning 2 games. And you got the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns are actually, 8-4 right now? They're in their last 12. Never pretty with the Phoenix Suns, but the Suns have been grinding and winning some basketball games late. We always talk about these Sacramento King games. They're always pretty close. And getting 4.5 points with the Kings, put it this way, it's almost like whoever the underdog was, I'd be taking a look at them in this game. Yeah, Phoenix are better than Sacramento are right now, but getting 4.5 points, I think, could be worth a look if you're looking for some action in this game. Shout out to everybody joining us on Sirius XM Channel 159. This is SportsRage on the SportsGrid Radio and television networks. Major League Baseball, San Diego and Los Angeles. They meet again. Remember, they opened up the season in Korea. Ohtani's interpreter turned himself in today. He's out. He got bonded. He's out right now. He's copping a plea deal. And Los Angeles and San Diego, first pitch coming up in a couple of minutes. Yamamoto on the hill here tonight. I feel like it's a home run type of night tonight for the Dodgers. Mookie Betts was torrid to start the season. The dude was hitting like 600. He's cooled off a little bit. The road wasn't completely kind to him. Look for I expect the Dodgers bats, now that they're back on the West Coast. They played in bad weather in Chicago. They played in the rain, heavy rain. And then in Minnesota, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't really nice. And the Dodgers don't deal with that a lot, really. So now they're back on the West Coast. I think Mookie Betts going to get back in the groove. I'm looking for Ohtani to hit a home run tonight. And in fact, I played them both to hit a home run. Mookie Betts is plus 475. Too good of a number to pass up on, especially back home right now. And for a guy that hits as many home runs as he does. And Shohei Ohtani, it took him 9 games. I think he hit his home run in the 9th game only. But now he's starting to crush the baseball. I'm expecting Ohtani to go deep at home tonight as well. So I got Mookie Betts to hit a home run at plus 475 and Shohei Ohtani to hit a home run at plus 280. We're going to play our routine. Freddie Freeman over 1.5 total bases. Mookie Betts over 1.5 total bases. Ohtani over 1.5 total bases. And Ohtani's been a good bet for this. He's been hitting a lot of doubles. I think he's coming into tonight leading Major League Baseball in doubles. We thought Freeman's the doubles king. But Ohtani's crushing the ball. Either it's a home run or he's hitting into the gap right now. So let's get our total base prop in. And Steve Merrill's going to kick it with us in a couple minutes. We'll get Steve's thoughts on these NBA games. NHL hockey, they're far from a glamorous game with the Calgary Flames and the Anaheim Ducks. But I'm sure the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart will be taking a look at it. The Nashville Predators are leading the Blackhawks right now. Canes and Blues are tied at 2. That game actually does matter for the St. Louis Blues. Big-time game right there. We have the Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights coming up. We'll get the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart's NHL picks. We're focused in on Major League Baseball and the National Basketball Association tonight. So, how about this right now? Mookie Betts over 1.5 total bases is plus 135. All right, he gets 2 singles, he gets a double, whatever. You're getting plus money. As I stated, I mean this bet was like 7-1 or something. I think it was 7-1. It's cooled off a little bit. I think it's up to it lost a couple of games in a row, like I said, on the West Coast. Freddie Freeman's plus 125 for over 1.5 total bases. So let's get in on Freddie. And now let's pull the trigger on Shohei Ohtani. We got him to hit a home run, but now let's get him to go over 1.5 total bases as well. So Steve Merrill steps up and in. The Raging Redhead Cam Stewart will join us. Countdown to UFC 300 is on. Got a stat card tomorrow night. We're going to go over every fight with Lou Gamblu. Gamblu.com in the house tonight. We'll go over every fight on the card UFC 300. There's a couple of, listen, it's going to be a violent card. There's going to be a lot of blood that is spilt tomorrow night in the octagon. And I think we can find some spots to pick some winners as well. Rob Vino will throw it down with us. We'll focus in on some Major League Baseball with Rob, as well as the United Football League, UFL, Week 3 rolls on. I actually really do like the card. I thought last week's card was a little bit tricky, and it was. My gut instinct was right, as there were 2 pushes, right? I mean, the numbers were really crisp last week, and the matchups were kind of like strange. This week, I don't know. I just sort of look at these games, and I'm like, this team's going to win, that team's going to lose, this team's going to win, that team is going to lose, this is going to be high scoring, that's going to be low scoring. So I look forward to seeing what Rob Vino has to say about the United Football League Week 3 action. The Masters continues. Jordan Spieth does not make the cut. Justin Thomas does not make the cut. But Tiger Woods does make the cut. We've got a logjam at the top with Scheffler, Bryson, and my boy Max Homa. We'll break it all down. We'll get to the updated odds. All that and more as the Freak Show has begun.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Jrue Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They are the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Thank you. I appreciate this. You want you one of these?
I'm good, KG.
You want your ginger shot?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I need some positivity today. I'm trying to cover this spread, and your vibe is off, G.
What's wrong with my vibe?
You got to get you one of these, G. Get to sip some of this positivity in your life, and boom! You see that? Spread's covered. Thank you, Mama. In a minute, G. Ha ha!
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. The Friday Night Free Show has begun. We're locked and loaded tonight. Countdown to the UFC 300, their anniversary card tomorrow night. It's a stacked card. Each fight, like every fighter, obviously it's UFC 300. And while they don't have some of the Connors of the world and some of their star names on the card, there's a lot of veterans. There's a lot of people, former champions. You sort of have to earn your way onto this card, and every fight has to be good. It's not really about the star power, right? It's more about like they want every fight. They want people to go, "Oh my God, that was the best card ever," and I can't believe how violent it was. And you can't. You want violence? How are you going to get more violence than Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje in a cage together? Like seriously, you got one guy that is willing to die in the octagon, as Justin Gaethje said. Although. And I don't want to upset Justin Gaethje because he is one of the toughest men in the world. But Cam Stewart returns. And Cam, he always says before his fight, "I'm willing to die in a cage." Are you? But in one of his fights, he tapped out due to an armbar. Yeah. I'm thinking, well, it's not really like willing to die if you just tapped out. I don't know. I was thinking that after. Yeah. I bet on him, too. I was like, this guy's willing. This guy's impossible to finish.
Yeah, rip my arm off.
There he was tapping, Cam. I was like, what happened to, like, dying in the ring, bro? Like, at least you die on your sword, but no, whatever. And I remember I criticized him at the time, and people were like, no, he's not an idiot. Why get your arm broken for nothing? If you're about to lose, it's like, what's the point of getting it snapped off, right?
Yeah.
Right? He might have been getting choked out, actually. Whatever. It was whatever fight it was. But that's going to be a sick fight. Alex Pereira and Hill is sheer violence as well. They really have a lot of fighters that are just mean people. And that's why they're on UFC 300. All right, so Steve Merrill steps up and in. Cam is back. We got a bunch of games going on. I'll throw it to you first here, Cam. The Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights. Are you betting this game? Who did you take?
Yeah, I'm on Vegas in reg and -1.5. I found out that Marc-Andre Fleury
got a late start. I thought the Minnesota Wild were going to start the kid, and that's not good news. I actually don't like that move. I'd prefer the other kid who had a shutout in his last start play. But I think Vegas just scored. They're up 1-0. I see goals in this game, and I see Vegas winning by margin. I'm also, Gabe, it wouldn't be me returning without me going for a dip in the dumpster. Give me the Anaheim Ducks plus 124 in my dumpster loser stinky game of the night with the Calgary Flames. Gotta bet it.
Yeah, that really is just a trash hockey game right there that you can pay attention to and let us know what's going on in because I've got zero interest in it. But for the record, we've got hockey news. It's all but official right now. Elliot Friedman has reported about 30 minutes ago tonight that the Arizona Coyotes are no more. They will be moving to Salt Lake now, immediately. They're pulling the midnight move, so much so that the Coyote players were told after our last game on Wednesday night, we're all going as a team to Salt Lake to look at places. They're moving to Salt Lake. The carpet has been pulled out from underneath them in Arizona. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But speaking of Arizona, the Phoenix Suns are in action. Let's bring in Steve Merrill right now, get his thoughts on these NBA games right now. Steve, Phoenix and Sacramento, both jockeying for position. Sacramento have fallen into this play-in right now, but they're trying to avoid a complete free fall into the 9-10 spot. They're getting 4.5 tonight against the Phoenix Suns, and then you get the Pelicans and the Warriors. Similar situation. They're both battling. Warriors are locked into this play-in as well. The Pelicans are trying to stay in the top 6. How you doing, Steve?
Doing well, guys. Good to see you on Friday. No NBA tomorrow. Every single NBA team is playing tonight on Friday, and every NBA team plays Sunday afternoon to finish the regular season, but nobody plays tomorrow. So it is kind of a weird scenario. And you're right, Gabe. We have to remind people how the playoffs work now in the NBA. You know, the 8 teams make the playoffs, but the 1 through 6 are automatically in after Sunday. 7 and 8 play. The winner is automatically in. The loser gets one more chance because they play the 9-10 winner. So the 9-10 seeds have to win 2 games. The 7-8 teams only have to win 1 out of 2. So there is a substantial edge being in that top 8. Obviously, the top 6 are in, but 7-8 is very important as well. So I do think these teams will continue to play hard if they have to fight for that positioning.
Now, it's a low scoring start to this game. I did like the over, Steve, 223 of the Warriors and the Pelicans. They played twice this year, both games. One of them got into the 240s, the other one into the 230s. I get it. The stakes are a little bit higher right now this late in the year, and players are tired, but I thought the total was a little light. In-game number right now is 219.5. I do think the Warriors 9-1 straight up in their last 10 games. They're rolling right now. Didn't really want to get in front of them, but the Pelicans can run and put points up on the board. What did you think of this game, Steve, with the 4 points, 4.5?
Yeah, so last night I actually used the best bet on the under in the Golden State game for my clients at wagertalk.com, the under, because I thought Golden State would bring the defensive intensity because, as you said, these games still matter. They're currently tied with Sacramento, 11 games out of first place. So they're tied for 8-9, but they're technically in the 9 spot, so they do need some help still. But they can move their way up. And like the Dallas Mavericks, the Warriors and Mavericks have maybe been the 2 best teams in the NBA the last few weeks, 2 of the best moneymakers as well. And they're both, experienced teams that have kind of underachieved, but it looks like Golden State, it looks like Dallas as well are turning it on when they need to. One interesting thing about the Warriors, they had one of the most extreme home road splits we've ever seen last season. They were very good at home. They were terrible on the road. Fast forward now to this season, and they've been the best road team ATS in the league this year. And they've actually been weaker at home overall. It's really a remarkable switch. They did not cover last night, but they got the win against Portland on the road, laying the inflated number. I think it's a tough team to fade right now. They're a veteran squad. They're a championship squad. They do appear to be playing their best basketball now when it counts.
There is a series price. Their matchup is locked in. They're playing the LA Clippers. It's the Mavericks and the Clippers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Mavericks and Clippers are playing each other, and the Clippers are minus 140 favorites in the series. Varying numbers, plus 110, plus 115, plus 120, depending on your spot when you're doing it. But as you just stated, the Dallas Mavericks are really rolling right now, and everybody always just assumes and says, including themselves, the Clippers, they think they're so good, Cam, that they can always just oh, nothing ever means anything. We'll be fine in the playoffs. And it's always the same thing in the playoffs. They lose in the playoffs. And then, oh, well, you know, next year and all like, it's like, well, it's the same thing now. They just, well, we're not going to play Kawhi. We're not going to do this. No one ever plays together. Oh, I know we lost 4 or 5, but it'll be fine. I can't buy in. I've been burnt enough with that. And like, the Clippers are one of those teams, too. They've never made it to the finals. They're like the Cleveland Browns or the Lions or something. Like,
Good
people
call.
need to realize this. They've never made it to the NBA finals. Hell, they've never made it to the conference finals before.
Great point, Morency. And I'll tell you, I had to also have a vision. And you know, sometimes my visions are pretty bad. But when I walked into the hotel, I saw Mavericks legend Ronaldo Blackman staying at my hotel. And we had a picture together. Great player in his prime, too. Guy went to Kansas State, Panamanian. Great guy. So I'll tell you, I'll take Dallas. It's a sign. You know Rolando Blackman. That guy had a wicked career, man. He was staying in my hotel. I couldn't believe it. Guy was wicked. He goes, want to take a picture? I go, sure I do.
Hey, you're staying in nice hotels. You're staying in hotels.
Actually, it wasn't that nice. I was surprised why he was there, Gabe.
I just like that Ronaldo Blackman wanted a picture with Cam. He said, you want to take a picture? He asked Cam for the picture. That's the best part of that story.
I go, yes, of course I'd want a picture with you. Yeah. His buddy in his entourage was a little bit shady. But anyway, it was it was pretty cool. You're right, Morency. I don't know what he was up to, but probably no good. But it was amazing.
He wanted the picture for an alibi.
Yeah, correct, Steve.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it. Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They are the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage, the Friday night free show. SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks, Sirius XM Channel 159. So we told you that we're taking Ohtani to home run tonight, plus 280. I expected him. He's crushing the ball. He's back home. His interpreter is under arrest, and the story is behind him now. Dave Roberts was asked about it before the game earlier in the day today. And they said, does Shohei seem different now? Is there a weight lifted that, the truth is out there right now? And Dave Roberts said, you can't tell the difference with this guy. He goes, I couldn't tell before something was wrong, and I can't tell now. So he basically said the guy's got the best poker face in the world. But then he went on to say, but yes, everybody's just sort of, relieved, and it's all good. You know what I mean? Boom. He hits the home run in the first inning. I thought the total was light here in this game, Steve. If you remember, San Diego hit Yamamoto in Korea. Now, they already played him. Now he's back home again. I don't think he gets lit up, but he gave up 2 runs in the first inning. I thought that 8 was light. And now the total's 10.5. And how about the Oakland Athletics, who me and Dave Delano talked about the A's last night being 130 favorites, 132 overnight favorites. And we said, the number says it all right there, Steve. You don't even have to cap the game. The fact that the odds makers made the A's a favorite, it was the right side. Now, I know it's only 1-0, but I do think the A's have the play tonight.
Yeah, and keep in mind the Padres' offensive numbers, too, get much down because Petco's so pitcher-friendly. They're 4 road games. I know 2 are Korea, a high-scoring game in one of them, but they're still averaging 5.5 runs, 277 batting average. So San Diego has some offensive punch as well. That should be a high-scoring game. Yeah, Oakland favored for the first time this season. It's so funny, Gabe. About a week ago, I was thinking to myself one day, I wonder if Oakland will be favored at any point this season. And I forget that they play everybody now, right? Because back in the day, it was all American League games.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Nationals, Rockies.
Right. I forgot they'll host the Rockies. They'll host the Nationals, the other bottom feeders. And not my Washington Nationals are in town to face the potentially future Las Vegas, definitely the next Sacramento A's. And
Sacramento,
maybe Oakland has some value now because they have hit rock bottom. They know where they're going to be for the next 3 years plus. It's going to be a 10,000-seat minor league stadium in Sacramento. Maybe all the pressure's off now and they start to run some off. We've seen them win 4 out of 5, maybe 5 out of 6 after tonight.
It's a good point where they know, all right, we're moving to Sacramento for the next 3 years. Our lives are now. Plus, they're all thinking, dear God, my offensive number is going to be great in Sacramento.
Exactly.
I read a story the other. I read a story, guys. I read a story of players that played for I think they're called the River Cats, and they said, "Dear God," they said it's going to be worse than Coors. There's going to be 10 or 14 home runs a night in that stadium. It's the desert. It's humid. It's hot as hell in Sacramento in the summer. The ball, it's one of the they all said, it's a launching pad. Minor league games are 14-10 all the time and stuff. It's going to be a launching pad there. Just quickly about this, I'm sure anyone who watches TV at all, sure you've seen the ads, Cam. Were you at Camp Lejeune? You were exposed to contaminated water?
Man. There was one on today when I was watching something.
Yeah, I watch that commercial all the time.
Thank you. So,
unreal.
Yeah. Congress has set aside $6 billion to pay off if you lived within 20 miles. Contact us. So, get this. So that whole Oakland to Vegas thing, I don't even know, it'll probably happen. It's not a lock to happen. I said, there's lawsuits and stuff like this going on. There's big stuff going on in Vegas about this that is serious. That it'll at least delay things. But get this, guys. So I'm just thinking out loud here about a lawsuit. They can't smash the Tropicana now. So they want to smash the Tropicana. They can't smash it. You know why? It's covered in asbestos.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And they can't smash it. Yeah, but we've been staying there for the last.
I know.
You're worried about it when you knock it down, but you weren't worried about it when we stayed there? So I was just thinking, if I ran a law firm, I'd be like, Did you stay at the Tropicana in between
God,
this year and this year?
Oh, man.
I'd be like, you see how I think, Steve? I was like,
they all
man,
lost money.
if I was a lawyer,
lawsuit.
when I saw the story, I was like, man, if I was a lawyer, I was like, I stayed there. If I was a lawyer, I'd be like,
dude, I was a
I'm
regular.
owed something. You
I used to
exposed
get
me to a
gas
parking garage
it.
2
You
years
exposed
ago.
me.
Yeah, like you exposed me. You knew it.
Francie,
I actually did. I parked at the parking garage to go over to like Luxor or Mandalay Bay. I parked in the Tropicana parking garage.
I didn't realize it's that bad,
this
this stuff. I mean, they're like, no. You can't knock the building down. It can't go in the air. They're like, no. Like, you legally can't do it. Now they got to do a project about the asbestos. Now it's on hold, the demolition.
Wow.
It's going to be one thing after another.
Asbestos is like, my dad used to work on a refinery, Morency. I'll tell you, it kills people. Like, asbestos kills. It gets in your lungs, you're dead.
Another home run,
like,
3-1 San Diego.
Anyway, I don't want to give you
don't want to disturb asbestos.
Yeah,
you don't want to make it airborne.
Asbestos, it's in the air, you're done. You're done. The best
This whole
scenario
age thing's a bad idea.
I agree.
The whole thing's just a bad idea.
I can't believe
I would tell them,
there.
listen, knock down the Trop, build a casino, and get on with your lives, all right? We're not doing a baseball team. Like, we're building a casino here. Like, that's what we're
Even
doing.
putting the stadium
That's
at
what
the
I'm
corner there where the Trop is just makes no sense to me. It just doesn't
No,
even
it's
look
terrible.
right.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, nothing sits
You're
right
going
to me
to
about this whole
squeeze it
story.
in. You're
Correct.
squeezing it in. You're knocking down that on that corner. And then you're leaving the dump-ass Motel 6 and the Great American Inn that's like a danger zone where, like, people get murdered every night. Like,
Yeah,
it's
1 hour
this is
wait.
great. Like, the whole thing. Like, it's just like, why are you putting it here of all places? Like, even the mayor of Vegas is like, it's a stupid place to put it. We don't want it there. But she doesn't have control. Like, she's not really the mayor of the Strip. 3-1 San Diego just runs. All right, Steve, we're going to get you out of here in a minute. We're jam-packed at UFC 300 coming up. Anything overnight baseball catch your eye tomorrow, talking about some of these teams that we've been fading and playing on?
I'll just point out real quick what's going on tonight. The Houston Astros down 12-3 as they enter the bottom of the seventh. And this is an Astros team. Their biggest problem this year has been the bullpen. Entering tonight, their bullpen ERA as a team is 5.14, 6.0 at home. And the reason that strikes you is because they've won championships now for about a decade with a great bullpen. So you get a feeling that maybe the Astros could be a fade team this season.
Steve Merrill, wagertalk.com. Always good, Steve. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one,
Steve Merrill. Arizona's up on Edmonton 2-1 right now. Is Mick in Edmonton? Is Mick ready to go?
Yeah, I'm actually on.
What? You're on the Coyotes?
Yes, I am. I didn't. I bet it before the news of Utah. Oh, plus 1.5 too. Like, what's Edmonton got to play?
I think it's good news for them.
I
I thought before it was a distraction. I think if you're on Arizona, now you know. You're like, yeah, whatever. We're moving to Salt Lake. You tell your girlfriend, honey, we're moving to Salt Lake. It's all good. Like,
that's the best. You said it. It's like a move in the middle of the night. Let's go to Utah.
Yeah.
It's like not even waiting till the end. Like, wow, that's crazy, man.
No, they're like the fact that they're telling them we're going to take you to Salt Lake on Wednesday night after the game. It's like they don't want to go back to Arizona. It's like they're going to owe money. I guarantee you, Cam. You're going to find out. Yeah, remember last year the Coyotes? Like, listen, you owe us $250,000. The arena said. You're like, you guys haven't paid like your bills. So I'm sure there's a lot coming here. Let's bring in Mick Ossie right now. One thing I'll say though, even though I have the Edmonton Oilers in a parlay. If Edmonton lose tonight, it puts the Canucks one step closer to winning the division that I have money on. So I'll take the good with the bad. How you doing, Mick?
Yeah, good, mate. And finally, Gary Bettman has worked out to get that team out of Phoenix, Arizona. How much money have they lost over the last 10 years? It must be insane. He's such an idiot, that guy. I can't stand him.
Mick's coming out hard. I got to be honest with you, though, too, Morency. Like, let's be honest, though. The people of Quebec City and other cities that have been waiting, arena waiting in Kansas City, and all of a sudden Utah gets a golden ticket. Like
Salt Lake just walks in.
Yeah, it's just seriously. Salt Lake just moseys on in. Quebec
Of all
can't
people,
do
like I
anything.
thought the same thing.
Yeah, it's like what?
And they got Atlanta coming. I'm like, so what's the deal? You guys are never putting a team in Quebec? Like you're just like
exactly.
You're obsessed with not doing it. Like
it's so insulting. Even Kansas City would be second behind Quebec. They have the Sprint Center there. They built it.
You're right. There is a new buzz. There's a new buzz now about the NHL going all in on this expansion stuff because they can make money off of it. And there's going to be 4 more coming. So Arizona's done. That's Salt Lake. And then we're going to have Kansas City, Houston, Atlanta, and Quebec City. Supposedly that's like the by 2030.
Okay. Oh, God.
I wouldn't
Isn't it
hold
hard
my
enough
breath
with
in
the
Quebec.
Stanley Cup? I agree. Don't give it
If I were
Atlanta
Quebec,
a
I'd
team
be like,
before that for sure. I'll take Houston over Quebec. You give me
Dude,
odds. Like, those guys don't have
Bettman
a
would put a
chance.
team in the Gaza Strip before Quebec City, I think.
You might be right.
Maybe that's too harsh. All right, that's too much. All right. So what do you got?
I
What's up, Mick? What do you got for us? Oh, by the way, I lost, Mick, the other night. Like this league's like
what? Carlton?
Good job. Yeah, the
won
Melbourne
outright.
Demons. My ass. Yeah, they got throttled.
Damn
Got killed. Mick.
Hawks.
They were 13-point favorites. They got killed.
Well, first of all, Quebec City's stupid building a stadium before they have the license, so that's silly. But yes, the Melbourne Demons got beaten by the Lions. I thought that was a chance, but last night's game was totally unpredictable as the Bombers destroyed the Dogs when everyone thought the Dogs were going to win. But last week, the favourites went 9-0. So I'm 29-9 money line this year. So generally, it's been a very good start, mate.
All right, good stuff. Okay, we're coming up against it here. We'll get Mick's. We'll set Lou up. We'll get Mick's. We got a screen ready for Mick's best bets.
Nice.
For the AFL this week. What do you got for us, Mick? Some 1 to 39 special winning margin bets. We'll hit this on the other side.
I love winning.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They are the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's a home run fest right now at Chavez Ravine. It's 3-2. There's already been 5 runs scored in this game. Remember, we talked about this last night and the total being light. Remember last time Yamamoto pitched in Korea against San Diego? It was crazy high scoring as well. And here we go. It's 3-2 already in the 5th inning. Ohtani is homered, and now Max Muncy is homered. Kim has also homered for San Diego. Okay, we got Lou on the on-deck circle. Let's get to Mick Ossie's best bets. Let's get him up on the screen. Mick, what do you got for us? What should we be betting on this weekend? You've been killing it. You went on a 9-0 run. What's your overall record on the year in the AFL right now? 29-9?
Yeah, that was before this week, but the dogs are barking. So 29-9 and 23-15 on the spread, and the spread is tough. But the dogs are barking this round, first 2 games. So we've got to be a bit careful, but I do like quite a few teams on the plus this week, and especially your Eagles, mate. Look, I got the Burnaby Eagles jersey on. They might even get their first win. Richmond Tigers have got injuries. Take the Eagles on the plus, and I actually picked them to win as well over there in Perth. They've been gearing up for this game, so Gabe, your team might get the first win compared to my team and Cam's team.
I love it. What was that money line parlay? Geelong Cats?
A multi.
Carlton and multi and Gold Coast. Wow, you're really easy. You mix all in. Here we
Cats,
go.
Blues, and Suns pays plus 159. The Giants should win as well. That's the 4-team multi. It pays plus 205. But really interesting games. And like I said, a few teams on the plus. The Fremantle Dockers there at plus 20.5. They're playing Port Adelaide Power in Adelaide. They've stayed there all week. They should have won last week, but they got ripped off by the umpires terribly against Carlton. It was an absolute disgrace. Finlayson's out for Port Power. He got suspended 3 games for a homophobic slur, so they're coming down tough on players. But the coach didn't get any, so double standards there by the AFL, unfortunately.
And I see you got the West Coast Eagles on the board there, Mick?
Yes, mate. Like I said, Richmond Tigers have got injuries. They lost another good player this morning, and that changed my pick. I'm actually going money line. They were up half-time against Sydney Swans, who are a very good team. So the Eagles, they're young kids. They've got a couple of players back. Dusty Martin's still there for Richmond, and Shea Bolton for Richmond. If he gets loose, then the Tigers might win. I like the Eagles on the plus and take a bit of a roughie to put them on the money line as well.
Dusty.
All right, we'll take a bit of a roughie. Good stuff, Mick.
A roughie with Dusty. Oh, man. Well, they got great names in that league. That's the best of roughie.
All right, they got the greatest names. Eddie Betts.
Oh, Eddie Betts. That's fantastic. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, it's the best name in sports. Eddie Betts.
Poor old Eddie, though, his kids are getting harassed by idiots that do this racial stuff. So people need to smarten up. It's not good, mate, you know?
No,
sounds like you have a lot of problems in Australia, Mick. All right.
Yeah.
Mick's like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Love you, Mick. Thanks. We'll see you next week. We're jam-packed tonight. Thanks for the time. NHL playoffs next week, too.
Be careful betting, mate. The dogs are barking.
Yeah,
thanks. Yeah, they are. They are barking tonight. Even Major League Baseball.
Big time.
They are barking. Yeah, the man that loves to bet on underdogs is a man that steps up and in right now.
Yep.
Lou from Gamblu.com. Good to see you, Lou. How you doing tonight?
Doing great, guys. Tough act to follow, Mr. Mick Ossie, but I'll do my best here this evening.
Do you need a translator? Do you understand him? You're a fan of his, too. Like, you never should have told him that. Lou told Mick a couple of minutes ago that he was a fan of his. Now you told him that. Like, he's going to send you, 80 tweets a day. He's going to tell everyone he's your best friend. Like, now you're Mick, anyone that loves Mick, you're now like he loves you. He's gonna be like, oh, Lou's a great guy.
Oh, perfect. I love it. I want to touch all four corners of the globe.
Yeah, exactly. So, thanks for joining us, Lou. So UFC 300, very intriguing card. I'm looking forward to these fights. Each fight has its own storyline and, background story. Fighter has their own background story here. Instead of starting off with the main event, let's start off with the prelims. And I'm going to bring up Jim Miller, actually, because what an accomplishment that Jim Miller fought at UFC 100, fought at UFC 200. And it should be noted that he won at both. So he won at UFC 100, he won at UFC 200. Now he's a plus 150 underdog against Bobby Green. And I think this is a winnable fight for Jim Miller. Lou, what's your take on Jim Miller plus 150 against Bobby Green minus 175?
Yeah, good fight. This fight opened Bobby Green minus 210. Jim Miller's been getting some love. However, it's just not any love from me. These guys were scheduled to fight, Gabriel, 4 times previous. One of those times, the second most recent, Bobby Green stepped in on like 7-8 days notice, lost 30 pounds, and was sent to the hospital because of the cut. Jim Miller found it this week to be critical of Bobby Green. It chapped him. Even though Green is 37, he's still 3 years younger than Jim Miller. And while Jim Miller gets credit for being a better grappler, I beg to differ. Bobby Green's wrestling is highly underrated, and he just doesn't use it. I regard Green as the faster man, the more athletic man, the man surely with advantage standing, and I'll be happy to take the advantage from 210 to minus 175 on Bobby Green in this fight.
One thing about Jim Miller I've always been fascinated about, and I told him that too, so I'm not just saying it, but he has no neck. I said, You're impossible to submit around the neck. Like, he really, his head is just shoved on top of his. Yeah, it's literally shoved on top of his thing. It's like, but it helps him as a fighter. Like, he was trying to punch him, right? He's got his, his head is just sort of, he protects it. So he's like a candy apple or something. It's like really, I get it. One thing, let me ask you, because, listen, Bobby Green used to be a regular on MMA Meltdown in the old days. And, entertaining guy, but at times, Lou, he spoke as much in the cage as he did when he was doing an interview. He'd spend like the first 10 minutes of the fight talking instead of just sort of getting after it. I've noticed he's curtailed that a little bit, but do you like where Bobby is at in his recent fights in his career?
I do. It used to be that you could really never set your watch on which Bobby Green was going to show up. Now, he is arguably part of this handicap. He's coming off a pretty brutal knockout by Jalen Turner in his last fight. But Bobby Green is authentic as the Diaz brothers, and he's an original OG. I think he comes ready, and I'm not underestimating Jim Miller, but Jim Miller's last 2 opponents were not really high caliber UFC competition. And the fight before that, he lost to Alexander Hernandez, who lost last week. This is not the dog that I'm going to try and side with.
Lou from Gamblu.com kicking to us. What do you think about Figueiredo and Cody Garbrandt? Figueiredo, the big favorite in this fight.
Great fights.
Yeah,
a lot of former champions on the prelims. You got former,
We got 13 fights, and we've got 12 current or former champions on this card. So, and in this fight, the opening fight, 2 former champions. I have less strong opinion here. I'm afraid of Garbrandt's chin, which is as fragile as your grandmother's porcelain, and yet Figueiredo is a little bit of a bully, and he tried to bully the 125s. Now he has to step up. He looked good against Rob Font in his last fight. This should be a banger. If Cody Garbrandt can stick to the plan and try and make this a 3-round fight, he could win a decision. But if he gets proud and stands with Figgy, he plays Figgy's game. Another Listen, favorites are running 64 point some percent in the UFC this year. I'm trying to be selective with my dogs. I'm not even working. This fight's not a fight I'll be betting.
The women's fight here with Andrade and Rodriguez, not a heavy price here. Not a pick 'em, but Jessica's a minus 140 favorite. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, we finally hit a sweet spot, Gabriel. Thank you. This one opened as a dead pick 'em, and Andrade is getting some love. I'm going to go the Marina Rodriguez side, and I'm going to go that way because Andrade has had tremendous personal issues in her life, and this will be her 6th fight in 15 months. We talked a visit or two ago about how sometimes being real active can dull fighters, and I think this is just too much activity for Andrade against a long, tall drink of water in Marina Rodriguez that can bang, and I think this is a good fight for Rodriguez as Andrade tries to enter, and Marina Rodriguez, if she can keep a little distance, can time her.
I brought it up earlier as far as this card is concerned. If you're going to put, there's certain cards where you're expected to create violence, right? Mm-hmm. Put it this way, guys, like this is not a card tomorrow where I'd be wanted to be betting a lot of overs. Like, there's a lot of these fights where it's like, oh boy, this actually could end pretty quickly. And it leads me into the Jalen Turner fight here, Lou. What do you think of this? He's minus 225 favorite.
Yeah, I think he's underpriced at 225. Moicano's gotten a tremendous amount of notoriety and accolade by learning English, talking trash, and as a matter of fact, winning a few fights. But he hasn't really been in against the kind of competition like a top 10 rated fighter like Jalen Turner. And I think Moicano, who's going to have to get inside and find a way to grab a hold, his success hinges on grappling and getting this fight to the ground. He's fighting a guy 4 inches taller, 6 years younger, 4-inch reach advantage legs and arms, and a guy that just knocked Bobby Green cold. The terrible matchup for Moicano here, in my opinion.
And Lou, let me ask you from a handicapping perspective, point blank, these guys are going to be gunning for the $300K, man, right? There's a $300,000. The bonuses are $300,000, which they weren't going to be. So whoever that was in the media that asked that question, the fighter should hook up because I don't think that was the plan. But somebody in the media said, "Hey, did you consider $300,000?" And Dana White said, "Yeah, sure, it's a good idea." And so now you think about that, Lou. That's a lot of money. Some fighters, as it is already, used to sort of change their approach to try to win an extra $50K. Now you put $300K on the line. Guys are going to be coming out there swinging for the fences, Lou.
Excellent point, guys. And think about the other guys that are going to get too aggressive, and then you're out of your plan game, and then boom, then the party's over, right? That could be a very dangerous thing when you're looking at that kind of money.
Well, as I stated, I'm not expecting a lot of overs because I think guys are going to – there's almost going to be handshake agreements backstage with some of them that, listen, let's not screw around, right? There's $300K on the line here if we put on a real show. So, you know what I mean, Lou?
13 fights on the card. 10 of them are 155 pounds and less. Finish rates for 155 pounds and less, 51%. I'm gonna temper your guys' expectations a little bit on that, just because of the size of the people and the big cage.
I think Turner can win by KO, though. He's one, I think, can.
Victor Hoffman right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There
is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford's father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. UFC 300 countdown to the card. Fight night begins right now. We got LouGamblu.com in the house with us. We all agree that Jalen Turner is the play here at minus 225. I don't think the fight is going to go the distance. It could, but I do think that Turner could knock him out, and I think that Turner's going to win the fight. Diego Lopez, minus 150 favorite against Youssef. Lou, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
My thoughts are that this could be one of the best fights on the card, Gabriel. This one opened with Lopez a slightly higher favorite. There's been a little money come in on Youssef. I get that. But to me, even though Lopez has less UFC experience, he has more overall experience, and I regard him as the more well-rounded fighter. Now, that said, Youssef he's a big, strong, aggressive, forward-marching striker, and that's what if he can sting Lopez early, he could get this fight going his way. I've been going back and forth on this one all week. I lean to Lopez here, but boy, surely as a short dog, Youssef could light the scoreboards with him.
We haven't talked totals yet, but I see 1.5 is minus 175 to the over. Over 2.5 is plus 115. Seems to me that this fight should be going to the distance, right? I mean, at plus 115 over 2.5, I don't think that's a bad bet. What do you think?
I totally agree with that. I mean, clearly Lopez wants to try and submit Youssef, and Youssef wants to knock him out. But I think if this gets into the second round, you're going to have a fight with 2 well-matched, similar-sized athletes that are going to get it on. And again, 155-pounders, not a high rate of finish in a huge cage.
All right, on the other side, we'll talk about Kayla Harrison and Holly Holm. I don't know if Cam has seen Kayla Harrison before. We'll get the picture up from last night. And, what a physical specimen that Holly Holm is going against. Kayla, minus 450 favorite.